everybody, and welcome to CRL Legends Division Round 2 in Singapore tonight. I am Jedi and I will be bringing you tonight's coverage by myself, as we do not have our co-commentator Ben with us tonight. But we'll see how tonight's race goes, as 31 laps of Singapore, along with the 18-minute qualifying beforehand. Feel free to get involved in the Twitch chat as well throughout tonight's race, as Daniel is already hyping himself up in the Twitch. It's time to sit back, put our feet up. We'll send Lewis, who's meant to be joining at some point, one last invite quickly before we start getting people on their qualifying laps. It's full track map, we'll update tyres, because why not have the tyres? 18 minutes, 15 drivers tonight. We have Thomas, Togger, Volt, Daniel, Dax, Keegan, Basic Smasher, Rocco, Nico, KZ, Fire Striker, Khalid, Ivanchek, Ninsik, and Shankly all here tonight. As I will quickly edit my TV settings, as this is too close. As that just feels wrong. Full screen it is, that looks better. At least for commentating. First new Daniel Keegan, hello. As P12 hates to see me coming. P12 Khalid. I see Picassus. Picassus? I don't even know how to pronounce that. Be interesting to find out why that is, but Daniel, the first driver out on track in that white Red Bull tonight. We'll see what he can do with the two Ferraris out close to each other on track, as we get this little weird tilted camera angle down that bit of a straight into start of sector 3, but Daniel coming up to the end of the final sector, ready to start his lap as we'll ride on board with the Australian as he gets ready to push on. The first lap of qualifying round in the final corner now, DRS open, and now it's started the push lap, holding it to the right hand side of the track, down into turn 1, whereas in through 1 and 2, and into turn 3 now on the power, on the run down towards turn 4, as we'll quickly get loose, hopefully in at last. DRS open now, and now it's a run down through the full out kink in the road of turn 5, and then towards the end of sector 1 into turn 6 is a 26.7 5-0 through the first sector, but turn 6 now into turn 7, nicely round 7 into 8, and then it's a straight run. Wall sticks out a bit and catch you off guard there, but it's into 9 now, very risky through 9 there, into turn 10, then 11, there's 12 and 13. Now DRS open once again, and he's going to have a little bit of outlap traffic pulling to the side there, the Aston Martin. I can't remember what corner we're at now. I'm in 4 point something through the first 2 seconds. DRS open again through the kink to the left, and now flat out into the final heavy braking zone of the track. It's right, left, and now it's flat out into the double left-hander at the end of this lap. It's been a clean enough lap. It's a 129.5. We have Rocco just behind to go 129.1. Next up will be one of the McLarens. It will be Nico to the line to start a lap, in fact. And next will be the Ferraris as Ivanchek and Valdez and pulls into pits, and then 6 next down to the line, so we're 30.4 for him. That's hello Thomas. As next to the line will be the Kicksauber of Shankly, 1.7.1 through the first 2 sectors, and he's invalidated his lap, so it won't be him anymore. As it's not going to be Firestriker and the Mercedes, it's going to be the Mercedes of Tugger who's into the pit. Next is going to be the Alpine of Hilo Yi starting a lap. Dax up into third, 1 minute 29.8. Next is going to be the Sauber of Pasty Smasher Dior, so into the lines, 1 minute 30.9, but that was invalidated from him. So he hasn't got a lap time on the board yet. KZ Matty on an out lap. He has Firestrike in behind, 1 minute 4.800 through the first 2 sectors for the Frenchman. As now through the final few corners, 2 corners to go. Will he get caught up by KZ Matty on his lap? He won't. As to the line, it's 1 minute 27.877 in behind Dax, as we have the Alpine leaving the session. That's not meant to be happening for the Alpine, as Khalid now to the line is into 6th, 31.1, but there's a 31.7 from Nico behind him. And Rocco to the line, he's starting another lap. Pasty Smasher next. We'll see what the Kicksauber can do at this point in the session, as it shows purple sectors, but ignore that as who was that? That was someone jumping up there, Shankly I think, with a 31.0. As we'll see who's going to be next. The Whoop Pasty Smasher, if he can pull this lap together, doesn't invalidate this time round. It's 1 minute 36.2 for him, not the best of laps, to say the least, but KZ Matty is a 1 minute 4.2 through the first 2 sectors. He is flying once again. Has very good pace, does the Aston Martin driver, everywhere where I see him driving. But now up to the line is a 1 minute 28.8, 3 tenths faster than Rocco. And then let's see what Thomas can do rounding the final couple of corners to the line. It's a 1 minute 35.3, not the slowest, but it's certainly not the fastest so far in this session. As next up, Firestriker's in, and Nico is in. KSA is going to go for another one. Rocco is in, so it's going to be the Ferrari, not of Ivanchek, but of Ninzig's in 6th. Is he going to push up? I don't think he is, but let's see it around the final. Couple of corners now for Ninzig's to the line. He finds 5 tenths of a second, but remains in P6. As Shankly is going to be in. Pasty Smasher 4.3 seconds up, finding good time in the first 2 sectors. He's rounding the final corner to the line. 5.1 gains to go in 8th, behind his teammate by 0.04 of a second. Okay, say 3 tenths up, but he's not going to be next to the line. Next to the line is going to be Keegan. Minute 8.8 through the first 2 sectors. As talk about Supercup, that's an interesting racing line, which I'm sure will be looked at by the shows, but he's in. Interesting racing. But Ivanchek to the lines of 1 minute 30.2. 6th and 7th now for the 2 Ferraris, 8th and 9th for the 2 Saubers. Next to the line will be KSA, 8 tenths up in the first 2 sectors. Can he go in the front row with his teammate in Aston Martin? to the line. His second game was only 7th, to separate the two Ferrari drivers. We see. As next is not going to be the Haas, because he is on an out lap. Daniel's on an out lap. I feel like I'm biting my tongue so much now. What the fuck? So who is actually going to be next to the line? I don't know yet, as I'm going to have a look now. I'll try to work that out. It's hi, hello, ye on a lap, so is Lewis. Daniel as well. So Rocco is on a lap. Van Dijk on an in lap. As I might have to go and get a drink quickly because my mouth is feeling dry and numb. Not numb, but it feels like I can't talk properly, so I'm going to quickly go and grab a drink as this session progresses. In fact, we won't do that, we'll just fight through it. As Daniel now to the line, can't jump ahead of Rocco just yet. Volt next, oh that's a big moment as we switch to his missing Barker from wing now. It's 33-3, but what could it have been without that big spin? Next is going to be the Aston starting our lap. Lewis moved into P10 with his lap. Keegan, only driver not to set a lap time yet in this session. That's disappointing for him. As we know, KZ Massey is on a lap, so we'll go on board with KZ. 2 tenths up in the first sector. Rocco is a 28.8 from the Croatian. But can he find more as the session progresses or not? That is the big question to be asked. It's a bit of a lock up there, but we'll come down towards the end of the second sector now. And we'll see what that second sector split is. As we miss what that was. As 2 drivers have had an incident on avoid Buckets Amati. 28.6 for him as he is playing as involved in the pits. Let's see what Keegan can do this time round. As he takes the exact same line again, and he can't, he's got an end plate missing, that's not going to cause you to do that. 2 lines at 35.7, slowest so far for Keegan. As next will be the McLaren, Dax. What is happening here with him and the Haas? What Haas is that? That is Thomas fucking knows what is happening there. Thomas can't keep out of a wall at the moment. Well, that I'm sure has fucked Dax's lap at 16 seconds down now. That's very much fucked Dax's lap up. Is Nico next? I think Nico is next. Nope, in fact, I'm wrong. Ninzix is next, 900's up in the first sector alone. as Ninzik's now in 6th currently. Let's see what he can do surrounding the final couple of corners. He'll loses the 10th in the end as Nico jumps up into 7th and behind him by a couple of hundredths. Dax 4/10 up, so he is on a push lap now. And let's see what this push lap can be. As now rounding the final 2 corners for Dax, DRS opens the line, is still in 4th position, 2/10 off Daniel, ahead of him. Thomas's next 24 seconds down, so he's now in on a push lap. Pasty Smasher 3.3 seconds down. Nico and Ninzix. Don't think either of them are pushing at this point in the session. I'll have a look in a second. No, he's definitely not pushing there. Lewis on and on that we have Aston Martin of Khalid, who has invalidated, so he's not on the push lap anymore. Dax, he's down on his best. Rocco not on a push lap. Ivanchek not on a push lap. A lot of drivers, minute 50 left. Let's get to that point of the session now. My last laps are important. So Keegan in the pits, sorry not Keegan, Thomas in the pits. He won't get another lap in this session, so there's a chance for Keegan to jump him to not start from last position. So we have a lot of people out on track now. Shankly's just started. Lewis has not long started a lap. Who else? Colleen has just started. He goes on a non-push lap. I think Ninzig's on a push lap, so we'll keep an eye on the Ferrari. As everyone's starting to start push laps. Dax P4 in the pits. He's not going to get another lap in this session. Let's see what Ninzix can do though. Through first 2 sectors, 700th down. Can he find enough to jump him ahead of Fire Striker in this session? The DRS open now, as it's a run down towards the end of this final sector. Final big braking zone here. Nicely through there, keeping it valid. As into the pits he comes, so not going for anything else in this session. As Nico is also into the pits. So next is going to be the Mercedes of Tucker starting a lap. Lewis will be the first driver to cross the line in this session. 1.2 seconds to gain up into 5th position. That's a good lap from him. As next is Shankly 6/10 down, as rounding the final corner to the line he goes. He can't improve on his lap time. Colleen won't get a valid lap in before the end. Rocco a 10th is up, but so is KZ. Is now rounding the final 2 corners to the line for Rocco. It's a 28.639. Pressure back on to KZ. Matty next. Ivanchek lost time in the final lap. Pasty Smasher, he's losing time. He's not going to improve. Keegan, 300ths down in the first 2 sectors. Can he pull it together in the final sector though? As rounding the final corner to the line, he can, and he jumps ahead of Thomas. That's massive. For him, Kizamati at 28.2 on that final push lap. What a lap it was. Daniel improves, can't jump ahead of Rocco though. Fire Striker next to the line, loses a 10th of a second exactly. Volt 600th up through the first two sectors. He jumps into 9th. 3 point something seconds gained, a very good lot from him. So connects 4/10 up to the line. He goes into 10th and behind Volt. And that is the qualifying session over. Skater, Rocco, Daniel, Dax, Lewis, Fireshark, and Ninzix, Nico, Volt, Tugger, KSA, Basie, Smasher, Vanchek, Shankly, Keegans, and Thomas. That is your starting grid for the session. So we have 2 minutes until the start of the race. And drop your race predictions in the Twitch chat. I'll have a look in a moment's time. So we're about to get going in a couple, or in a minute or so's time, so let's see how this goes. As we're about to start the race now, as we come to go to the 5 red light here in Singapore, and it's lights out, and we're racing here in Singapore tonight. Gates and Matty with a good start, but Rocco also with a decent, no, never mind, take that back. Daniel, Dax, Lewis, all up ahead of Rocco. Rocco getting shunted by Fire Striker there. Rocco won't be happy about that one. Further back, Ninzix and Nico fighting. Volt down into P16. Keegan down in 15th. Thomas is up to 13th, 14th, 13th, 14th. Whatever position there is McLaren gone round, and it's Nico who's gone round at turn 4 there, so not great start. From there, someone beat it. Okay, I'm meant to come here. Okay. I don't know who you are, but welcome to the stream. as Dax in third, chasing down Daniel now. Rocco down in sixth from second. Poor start for him. He's on the medium zone. He's got Lewis ahead on the hards. Lewis, Pasty Smasher, Keegan, Volt, all starting on the hards. Everyone else on the medium compound tyres. So, something on there. Pasty Smasher and Ivanchek going side by side. Pasty Smasher in behind Ivanchek now, but he's going to try and fight it back on the run to turn 4. Ivanchek on the inside, Pasty Smasher on the outside. Does he have the grip? He doesn't. Ivanchek does well. There's Volt dropping in behind Thomas. Thomas braking very early there, catching Volt off guard, but Volt, with the experience in the Alpine, gets past him. Thomas is missing an end plate. Keegan saying he already has 2 clips with people. Wow, actually clipping stuff this week, that is impressive, Keegan. At least you learned your lesson after last Wednesday. Further up the grid, Daniel staying with KZ Matty. Dax staying with him, and Fire Striker losing time to them. He's the start of a DRS train down to 7th, and then Pasty Smasher up ahead of Ivanchek once again. Those two will continue to fight hours further back. There's a yellow flag in the second sector. That was either for Nico or Thomas. I'm not sure which one. Thomas missing another end plate as he's turned right into a left-hander. That's an interesting one to do. I've never seen that before. As you were going to make the corner, but you decided, no, I won't make the corner. Have a bit more faith in your bloody car next time. Daniel Dax, Daniel Dax, all setting new fastest laps. As down the inside this time, into turn 1, Daniel goes. He can't get the move on KZ Matty this time round, but now he's going to put himself under pressure from Dax, who's just sitting back and letting this unfold in front of him. They're still pulling away from the group with Fire Striker leading it. As there's yellow flags for Nico down the main straight, but we'll come back to that later. As again Daniel has to look to the inside, decides against it this time round. Into the second sector we go of lap 3 here, 31 lap race. Ivanchek and Khalid, Pasty Smasher all swapping positions. Khalid getting up ahead of both of them, Pasty Smasher back ahead of them both as Dax has gone into the wall and he's missing part of the front wing. That's poor for the McLaren, as Ivanchek there now has also gone, as he will now drop behind Volt. So does Pasty Smasher. All the action happening on that straight, but now KZ, Matty and Daniel can go to battle 1 against 1. Lewis on the hards, still doing well, sitting in P4 now after Dax's incident. What damage does he have? 2 end plates missing, that's unfortunate for him. But now, can Daniel launch some sort of attack against KZ? As we'll see what it is. As Daniel didn't try anything this time around, Rocco is up ahead of Fire Striker. Fire Striker had a low look to battle back. He's lost now 2 places this lap. Lewis up into 3rd. He will now come under pressure from Rocco once again, but in a different position this time around. Pasty Smasher in the pits. Mediums going on to the Kick Sauber. He'll come out ahead of the Red Bull of Keegan. It's Thomas' first penalty of the race, 3-second time penalty. As Thomas a little bit of a tip, drive the car rather than talking it in the Twitch chat mid-race. If it was a safety car, it'll be different, but he's still racing Shankly, makes past Dax further back. That is for 7th position. Shankly now dropping down the grid. Something's happened to the Salby. He's missing an end plate, down into 10th after being 7th temporarily. There's a lot of people finding the wall tonight. Could be a busy week for the shooting team this week. As now we're about to go into lap 5. And now Daniel will once again have a chance to dart down into the inside, decides against it. And let's see how this race continues to shape out as KZ leads. Daniel starting to drop back now, 7/10 the gap as Shankly and Ivanchek both in for early pit stops in this race, as there's a yellow flag in the first sector, as that was around Khalid and Tugger. Rocco has made up past Lewis. Rocco now 5.8 seconds off the lead fight. He's got Lewis and then Zeke. Zeke's in behind, wanting to get dragged along. Fire Striker trying to stay with them. But KZ Matty continues to lead the Singapore Grand Prix. Out in first place, Daniel in second. There's multiple yellow flags around the track. There is who was that? That was Shankly who's off, and he's now going to come under pressure from Ivanchek into the end of the first sector, start of the second sector. Daniel continues his chase on KZ Matty. We'll see if he can make anything happen as the race progresses, but who knows how that will pan out as the yellow flags further back. Thomas now catching up, Keegan in for the soft compound of tyres. As Keegan, 3-second time penalty, as I just read the chat saying about 3 clips and he picks up a 3-second time penalty. Kind of funny. Continuing on. See what Daniel can do as he's actually dropping back well beyond a second now, as Rocco's starting to close the gap in a little bit, but Daniel, has he overdone the tyres too early on in this race? As well, looking at the two cars' tyres, it does look like the Aston Martin has the better looking tyres, and he's started to open up the gap. Lewis now trying to put Rocco under pressure. They've dropped Ninzix and Fire Striker in behind, but Lewis showing good pace as there's someone who's gone straight on, as that is the Red Bull of Keegan. And does he have damage? It looks like he does. Yep, both end plates are missing for the Red Bull car, so expect to see him in again in the short, as he is coming back into the pits now, as there's a pass of a turn 3. That is Thomas, and does he have damage? No, he doesn't, but Keegan retires it in the pits. Now, as a fellow commentator of mine would say, what's the point? As I've just seen Thomas spin it, and that could be rear wing damage. There was a heavy shunt into the wall, and if it is rear wing damage, then God help you around Singapore with rear wing damage. That will be chaos. I've had that before, and it's not nice. Just have a look at the Haas for a couple of moments. I think it's been blue flagged. With the way the rear of the car, yeah, that's got to have rear wing damage on the Haas. The cars are losing it too much. That's definitely rear wing damage on the Haas. But we'll go back to the other Haas who's actually... Maybe turn your ABS on, then you won't be locking up. Just a tip. As Lewis, 3-second time penalty as we're about to come back to his battle chasing down Rocco. Rocco, though, has done a good job of closing into Daniel, but Daniel has lost a lot to KZ Matty. It's KZ Matty in a world of his own in this race. His teammate KSA, Khalid, down in P10. So we'll see how that goes, as in fact he's dropped to P11 as he's in here. 10 seconds speeding in the pit lane penalty for him. Well then, create a ticket and you go 3 clips. Create a ticket as there's a slow stop for the Astons with that front left, but a new front wing going on as well. That's Thomas slow into the pit lane. If you've got clips, create a ticket, put your clips in the ticket, and stewards will look at it. As I always say every week when we're talking about incidents, Shankly and Ivanchek have been close to each other on track for a long time now in this race. As a little look down into the inside from Shankly, decided against it. But DRS now, he'll have another go as he moves to the inside. Ivanchek moving very aggressively in defence as there's contact between them, and Ivanchek bullying his way through as Shankly to the inside for the right-hander can't make anything happen. It's Thomas again facing the wrong way. He's already a minute 24 back on KSA, so we'll see how that pans out for the rest of this race. As Rocco 2.7 off Daniel now, Daniel 4.7 off KZ. KZ especially absolutely demolishing in this race as Thomas again is around. It'll be interesting if he finishes the race, how many laps will be done. As Lewis continues to chase on Rocco in a good position again, right in behind Rocco as we'll ride on board Shankly with 3-second time penalty. So penalties for all those from 12th to 15th now. As Lewis is just letting Rocco bring him round this track, and this good play from the Haas. Don't get involved in any battles at this point. You got a penalty. Yes, you will need to try and clear him eventually in this race if you want to get a podium position, but for the time being, let Rocco drag you along. It's very smart play from the Haas driver. As we talk about smart plays, the other Haas is not making that as he's got a puncture. Why are you on? How have you, what the fuck, man? You've done 1 lap on softs and you got a puncture. Like, genuinely, what the fuck? Jesus Christ. Okay then. That's happening there. 10-second penalty for speeding into the pit lane. You've just finished your first lap on the softs. You got a puncture. What tires are you going to go on to? Please don't say softs. I am about to lose my sanity. Why? Why are you on softs again? You've just had a puncture on your first lap on softs. Why are you on softs again? Please explain. Further ahead, Lewis in the other Haas has now dropped out of Rocco's DRS. Rocco doing well now as Ivanchek is out. Has Ivanchek retired it in the pits or not? He has, so Interesting choice from Ivanchek to retire it in the pit lane. We'll see if there's any explanation for that shortly, as now the closest battle on track is Volt and Nico. As... well, let's see what can happen. Can Nico get Volt? Can Volt defend against Nico? Volt has a bit of a lockup. Nico has a little bit of a half spin. Lewis, another time penalty. He's really struggling tonight now with them penalties and track limits here. So, let's see what'll happen as Ninzig's in the pits. Nico now also in the pits. The medium runners starting to make their pit stops. And, as I say, starting to make their pit stops. You'll see what is going to go on. So, let's see. Closest battle on track now, Pasty Smasher and Khalid. Khalid has the run with the DRS. He's going to go to the left hand side. And can he make the move stick as Thomas? Please say that's not another puncture. Thank the Lord that's not another puncture. Khalid is up ahead of Pasty Smasher there now. Nico chasing them down in behind. As Thomas is gone again, and no wonder the soft tyres aren't lasting on the Haas, because the Haas can't last itself. Think he's got another lap to go for as he's please say that's not a retirement on track. Please say that is not a retirement on track. I need someone else to come through. I think that's a retirement on track, I can't lie. As a virtual safety car now, so let's see what drivers will do. Does anyone in a position to pit under this virtual safety car? Doesn't look like anyone is going to pit under this virtual safety car, so unless someone decides the last second to dart into the pits, I doubt anyone will. So we'll just keep an eye on that. As Rocco drive through for speeding under virtual safety cars, so for Ninzigs, those two being caught out. And now Rocco on the back of Daniel, but that drive-through penalty is going to be costly to him. As you get that gun, but now he is into the pit lane. Daniel is in to serve his pit stop. So Daniel playing the smart game here, taking that pit stop. Suspension failure just tapped the wall and the whole tyre came off. I think you more than tapped the wall. I think you hit the wall pretty fucking hard, I can't lie. But, as I was saying, Daniel taking the pit stop whilst Rocco serves the drive through. Smart, he's going to get the undercut on Rocco now, because Rocco's going to have to do another lap on their medium tyres. And that will really be the last thing Rocco really wanted, having Daniel in that position just behind him by a couple of seconds, because now Rocco is going to lose a lot of time in the pits to him. Dax picks up the 3-second time penalty, and we'll see how this continues. realistically, what was really meant to happen is Dax retires from the session in the pit lane. We're down to 12 from 16. But yeah, as I was saying, what realistically you know, as I was saying, well, every driver now will get points, as 12 drivers score points here. So, as long as you finish, you've got guaranteed points now. As Daniel had a little look to the inside of Rocco. Already back up onto the rear of Rocco, and Rocco now into the pits. And how much time did that drive-through cost the Red Bull car? Because that was a heavy drive-through to pick up when he picked it up. And now it's, well, now it's gone against him now this race. As you know, you think about the likes of picking up a time penalty like that. You think of time penalties, in fact. You think about picking up time penalties and how costly they can be. Picking up a drive-through is a lot more painful. That is, yeah, it's certainly a lot more painful to pick up a drive-through in that situation. Yeah, not really what Rocco wanted. Now down in 9th position, as there's not really any battles on tracks. Lindsay, who also had a drive-through, now behind Rocco, so these two can have a little bit of a scrap as KZ Matty now decides it's time and is into the pits, and Lewis will go around and continue on 14 laps on the mediums for KZ Matty, looking to do 17 on the hards, very doable. So we know roughly what Lewis is going to be doing in reverse. As 5 strikers in, Daniel is going to be up in 3rd, but he's still some time off KZ Matty. Who else is in? Tugger, Mercedes double stacking their drivers, and it's no. Tugger didn't get the gap big enough as Rocco picks up a 3-second time penalty, trying to push to recatch those ahead. That's going to be costly for him, as KZ Matty doesn't have one, Daniel doesn't have one. So those two have already pitted. Provisionally 1st and 2nd don't have time penalties. Rocco, who's pitted, does have a time penalty. 2 drivers ahead of him still has to pit, so he could get 6th after the pit stops. Actually, perhaps not, as Lewis is a long way ahead, but with a lot of penalties as well. So let's see what the plan of everyone is. There's 3.6 between KZ Matty and Daniel now, but Daniel on a couple lap older tyres. Anything can happen at this point. As now going on to lap 16 is our race leader Lewis. KZ Matty also into 16, and so is Daniel, and there's a bit of time back to Vault in P4. Khalid chasing him down, with Khalid getting chased down by Nico and by Fire Striker further back. Tugger and Pasty Smasher swapping positions. Good move from Tugger there on Pasty Smasher, and he can now set his eyes out on the other Kicksalber of Shankly, as we'll actually have a look as he goes to the outside here. Shankly tries to bow back, goes deep. Will Tugger get it? He gets the better traction, and that was a beautiful move from Tugger, forcing the mistake from the Sauber and then capitalising on said mistake. And in fact, he's missing a front end plate as well, which makes it all that bit better. But Nico now putting pressure on Khalid. This is for 5th place on track. Khalid, the older tyres compared to Nico. Rocco is right up in this battle now as well, behind them. And Ninzix will be trying to catch up to it as well, but Fire Striker is now going to try and have a look and see if he can get anything on Nico. Perhaps, but Nico not going to let in that easily. As all 4 of these now in this DRS train. As on to lap 17 we go, Lewis still leading the race. That gap has massively decreased to KZ Matty behind though. And now Nico is going to have a good chance into the final heavy braking zone. Can he get wheel to wheel? He gets side by side with Khalid. Khalid crossing the track, 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. Not surprising there, as there wasn't really any contact. He just overreacted, overreacted, whatever word you want to use, and sent himself off track to gain an unfair racing advantage. Rocco got up past Fire Striker in all that, but Rocco losing the rear is going to have Fire Striker battle straight back into him. As Fire Striker decided against it there. And now, can Rocco try and put pressure on Nico and try and make Nico make a mistake? As Nico continues to chase down Khalid. As in fact, Caleb Matty has got Lewis on track. I overtook him on track, and Daniel is looking to be about to do the same thing as well. As that slow puncture. It's a puncture for Lewis, and he's tried to go long on this stint on hards. And he's got a puncture on the final lap. I reckon he was coming in this lap anyway. You could see the slow puncture forming, and then it just delaminated on him, and that's unfortunate for him. And if he can get in the pits, it's going to be costly. Now, where will he come out? He's going to lose out a Volt. Volt is going for another lap, so he's managed the tyres well. He feels like there's another lap, maybe a couple more laps in them. But Daniel, 2.2 off KZ Matty. We'll see what happens here now as Lewis drops down to 9th place as he comes out of the pit, and that's a costly puncture for him. He could have been higher up without it. As Nico continues to put pressure on Khalid. And whilst this is happening, Rocco can't really do anything as Pasty Smasher is into the pits. His teammate Shankly pit last lap around, so the two Saubers doing, well, pretty much the same strategy. So we'll see how it plays out for them. As continuing on even more into this race. What will come of it? Who will go on to win it? Well, we just have to wait and see for sport. Oh, that's Nico gone. And he had a similar thing on the first couple of laps. First lap, in fact, I think it was, where he'd gone round, and he's just had another one where he's ended up losing the car and he's gone round, whether there was contact or not. Nico's in, and he'll score points as long as he finishes this race, so it's fault. However, as Nico retires, and as I was saying, he'll score points as long as he finishes, he retires the car. Interesting. This race is kind of a dull race, I can't lie. Continuing on, Rocco chasing down KSA now. Khalid, what can Khalid do? He has penalties. But so does Rocco. Fire Striker, if he can stay within 3 seconds of Rocco, is in a very good position in this race, but he's got Ninzix in behind, and he's already out of that 1 second gap to Rocco, so we'll just have to see how this plays off in the grand scheme of things. Shankly, 3 second time penalty for multiple track limit infringements. That's not what he really wanted in this race. But now Rocco around the outside of Khalid if he can, can't make it happen there. So let's see how last few laps of this race will play out. In fact, sorry, not pay out, play out. That's the words I'm looking for. I'm not too sure how it'll play out. We'll find out as Rocco now coming under pressure from Fire Striker, and the more the Khalid, he's a bit of a pain to Rocco, the more the Fire Striker and Ninzix, and even Lewis who's up there, although Lewis can't really do anything, and someone asked what happened to Keegan. Keegan claims that there was multiple incidents involving him. I personally didn't say anything because I wasn't focusing on it, but he found the wall a few times and then retired in the pits, so I hope that answers your question, Jose Fredshaw. Hopefully that answers your question of what happened to Keegan. Multiple incidents. Jose Fredshaw, that sounds like a very Manchester United fan sounding name, I can't lie. Jose as in Jose Mourinho, Fred as in Fred, and Shaw as in Luke Shaw. I can be very wrong with that, but I'm going crazy. This race is dull. It has been a very dull race to say the least, though. As continuing on, Rocco continues to try and attack Khalid. The arrest open. Can he make anything happen? Most likely not, however. So we'll just see what will happen when in this race as this kind of just the feeling this race is giving off at this point. Someone got a 3 second time warning there, it was Sugar. Who will win the race? Definitely going to be Kickz's Ninzix in to the pit lane now. So that is possibly the end of Ninzix's push for good points as he does drop behind Volt. Let's see now what will happen for the rest of this as well. Rocco now having Fire Striker and Khalid bullying each other around. Khalid not really leaving the space whilst Fire Striker was side by side with him. And well, I can't really say what I want to say there because I'd probably get cancelled. As Lewis has got up into third and he's now starting to pull away on them fresh mediums. So let's see how this race continues to go on as KSA. Can he make anything happen? Let's see, as Fire Striker and Khalid once again going to go wheels away on Khalid with the straight line speed. Fire Striker not wanting to send anything into a corner this time around. Fire Striker just needs to sit behind. So Lewis could very well get a podium at the straight in this race. 35 off Daniel ahead, but Daniel's 9.5 off the car ahead of him, which is the race leader, KZ Matti. But Khalid being a bit of a nuisance in this race. Have a look. Leg up to leader. Pace smasher, 5 second time penalty off. We'll get back to the interval, just have a look as Daniel continues to just push on and open the gap up even more. As Rocco finally up into fourth among all that. It's been that boring, I was looking away and didn't even notice it. But surely too late for Rocco to charge forward now. As race leader KZ Matti is about to start lap 26. As whilst all this happening, Fire Striker is now going to try and make his way past Khalid if he can. And in the background, hello Harry. Hello. I can't hear you on stream, but I have been losing my sanity recently, so I'm assuming the race you've been in is absolute cancerous as well. Fair enough then. But continuing in this one, Fire Striker and KS and Kobe, never mind, not the only two within each other, a battle of, or within a second of each other. Ninzix is within a second of Hi Hello Ye or Volt, whichever you want to call them. This will probably be more of an interesting fight because at least they know how to not commit acts of violence against other drivers on track. Not saying that Khalid does that, but that's what it's felt like all race. As continuing on, Ninzix, can he make anything happen on this next DRS straight coming up? He's close enough, he gets the exit. Can he make a move? Will he dodge to the inside? He does dodge to the inside. He's going to be wheel to wheel, and he does make the move, but Volt with the switchback attempt. Well, Volt got back ahead. The DRS was not enough to help Ninzix because of that poor exit which he got. Fire Striker making it past Khalid. Khalid, has he finally had his come up in speed? He got puncture, doesn't have a puncture. Does he have damage? I think I know what's happening. He doesn't have damage. I think I know what's happened though. I think Fire Striker has had enough and give him a little tap towards the wall, although that's everywhere on this track, so you wouldn't know. Ninzix absolutely dropping Volt now. 4.1 seconds the gap in what, about a lap. That's pretty impressive, as KZ Matty lapping the first of the two Saubers not long ago, chasing the second to lap them before the end of the race. They're 18 seconds away from P9 of Volt. Now, there is no on-track battles, as in fact, during all of this, Duggar has made it up past his teammate of Fire Striker, but Rocco has been pushing hard since making it past Khalid and Fire Striker, and he is now in P4, but in right behind Lewis of P3, and if we look at penalties, Lewis has 3 seconds more than Rocco does, so Rocco will take a podium at the end of this race as things stand. Still only 3 laps. KZ is on 29 off 31 as Daniel in for softs. I mean, he's got the gap, so he might as well do it as Fire Striker going slowly there, no puncture. Yes. Yeah, Daniel, I already said about your tyres. No need to tell me in the Twitch chat. I am competent enough to be able to read the red S with a red circle around it and a black background. Yeah, we'll go to Rocco v Lewis. Rocco doesn't really need to make the overtake on track as KZ is on the penultimate lap of the race. But, I mean, Rocco will want to take it on track, I'm sure about that. Daniel on the soft, about to go to the penultimate lap. He's got a couple of laps to try and take the fastest lap of this race, which, as we stand, is a 132.9 from Dax before he retired in the pit lane. Both McLarens out in this race, along with Keegan, Thomas and Ivanchek. As now if we look at things, we have Rocco here in his natural habitat of chasing down the podium. Well, slightly unnatural habitat in fact, because he's not chasing a race win like he so often does here in CRL, especially in Legends Division, but DRS Open, he's pushing it. He might not get this lap, although he's going to go to the inside. There's contact between him and Lewis, and it was a very late lunge from Rocco there. And, I mean, he could have, and probably should have waited another few corners, but your race leader, Kated Matty, is on to the final lap of the race. And it's been a dominant display from him. He's led practically every lap, either in the actual lead of the race or the provisional lead. Lewis led the other laps, which wasn't led by KZ, but he's now looking to drop to 4th at the end of this one. And in some ways the field spread here looks a bit more like a career mode race. In the second sector now for KZ Matthias, 131.109 for Daniel, as we have the Alpine of Volt off and around, and it'll be interesting if he gets a lap by KZ by the end of this, but we'll ride on board with the Aston Martin drivers. Daniel picks up a 3-second time penalty. Humonko penalty list before the end. 4 drivers will, though: KZ, Ninsix, Fire Striker and Volt, unless any of them pick up a penalty before the end. But KZ took pole by almost 4 tenths, and he'll go on to win this race in dominant fashion. 37 seconds of the gap to Daniel right now, and that penalty on at the end, it'll be around 40 seconds. But now rounding the final corners for the Singapore Grand Prix, KZ Matty is your race winner, as Volt will finish in 9th, but he'll drop behind. Sorry, no, Pasty Smasher. No, hold up, I'm confused. Right, Volt's in 9th, Pasty Smasher in 10th, Shankly in 11th, 10th and 11th for the 2 Sauber drivers. Not too bad from them, as now Khalid has dropped back even more, going slowly there in the Aston Martin. It's not going to be a great race weekend for Aston Martin, but now rounding the final corner to take 2nd place is Daniel in the Red Bull car. And now we've got another 23 seconds back to your next driver on the grid of Lewis, and he leads Rocco slightly as Rocco's going to make a late lunge. They make contact with the two of them. Rocco almost taking Lewis off track. Lewis will win it between the two of them on track, but with penalties Rocco moves to 3rd. Lewis drops down to 4th. Next to round the final corner and come to the line will be Tugger in the Mercedes. He's had a decent enough race for his for himself. 5 places gained. Ninzix finishes in 6th, 5 striker in 7th, and Khalid will cross the line to take 8th position. 11 drivers out of the 16 who started will finish this race. as we'll have a quick look at the podium. So race winner gated fastest lap, Daniel, co-lead driver of the day, and most overtakes to Volt. So, confirmation, KZ wins the race, Daniel in second, Rocco in third, Lewis in fourth, Tugger in fifth, Ninzig in sixth, Place Striker in seventh, Khalid in eighth, Volt in ninth, Pacey Smasher in 10th, Shankly in 11th, and we lost Nico, Dax, Vanchek, Thomas and Keegan all along the way. That is it for round 2 of the season. Next week we go to Budapest for the Hungarian Grand Prix. We will see you then, and we will also be back in a couple of days' time for Elite Division at Vegas. Until then, goodbye.